Hi, this is Lady Lecture K, and this is a Dreams Gadget tutorial. We're working our way through cameras and lighting, and we've got to the light. Here is our light gadget. Unlike other gadgets, it's one of those few rare gadgets that are actually shaped. This one's shaped like a spotlight, which is great. It means that you can very easily angle it, and you can see where the light's going to go from the gadget position. So the default for this particular gadget is a spotlight, but you can change it in the tweak menu. Right, so to get to the tweak menu, it's L1 and square, and here is the tweak menu. It's just one page. It's pretty simple. Right, as I said, the light is defaulted to be a spotlight, but you can also change it to a diffused light, which is like a ball of light. It's a bit hard to see unless you get it actually close to something where it's lighting it up. Now, I've noticed a bug with this particular gizmo. If I put my light there, as you can see, it's smaller than the circle in the center there, but you can see the light shining on the ground there. You can make the light. Should we make the like a very red? And I think you can see it there. There we go. Right, there's the light. You can change the color of it. You can also change the brightness of it by using this slider. And as you can see, by changing the brightness, you're also changing the size of the actual light. And so now we've got 752% brightness, and our gizmo is this size. Now, if I was to then grab this gizmo and make it smaller, as you can see, we are going down to, in effect, we no longer got this bright light. It's almost as if, but this is still at 752. So they're not connected. The size of this is not connected to this slider. I think that's a bug. I don't think that should be like that. So be very, very careful. Either, do you notice I'm now reducing down the brightness? It's shrinking that down, and now we have a situation, you know, where it takes 222% to even get what was visible at 50% before. So there is a serious bug with this particular gizmo. Let me just put down a new one, get rid of this. So be very, very careful when playing about with brightness. Either use the brightness here, or make your thing bigger and smaller, and don't play about with this at all. Probably best not to change the size of your gizmo manually, is all I can suggest. They are not connected. They're connected this way, so if I move the slider, it changes the size, but if I change the size, it doesn't move the slider, and you can get completely out of sync with each other, and then you don't know where you are, and you don't know what sort of light effect you're going to get. You can change the hue cycle, the same as you can for all things with the colour palette. It's a bit hard to see with the lights, especially if I've got this particular light on. And you'll notice that the spotlight itself, the gadget, will change colour. It won't match. There you are, there you go. Necessarily the colour that you've got up here. It's pretty close, but if you move the hue cycle, then it starts changing colour to the other colours and doesn't match that one. It matches whatever the hue changes, but that doesn't change. And that's another weird one, isn't it? So you go through the hue cycle and this doesn't change, but this does. So again, weird the way these gadgets work. So if you wanted to create a multi-light, like a disco light, you could very quickly just do this. Set that on loop, or ping pong's probably quite good. And now that's just going to go through the colours as a disco light, look like that. You can speed it up. So very simple, easy way of actually just getting multicoloured lights going. Just use the action recorder and the hue cycle, or you can use the action recorder and do this, go all the way around like this. It's pretty cool. Same with special effects in terms of brightness. So you could create like a candle effect with the action recorder by fiddling about with this a little bit backwards and forwards, so it's blinking on and off. That can be quite effective, again with the action recorder. Beam range. This will change the intensity of the light, because the beam range is being increased. So that's, you can see there from the gizmo, it lengthens the range of the beam, so it'll hit things at different focal distances, so it's a much more defined edge the wider it is. Beam angle, again, this makes a much wider beam, you get much more of a light there. The fade angle, this is the softness of the edges of that beam. You can see it really clearly there as we go backwards and forwards like that. So again, you know, special effects, you can create a throbbing thing with the action recorder just by moving that up and down, or you can use a signal generator to do the same job, go from 0 to 100 and backwards and forwards, and that would create a flickering light for you. Casting shadows. So if I was to put an object in the world like that, you can see there is a shadow there with that light. Turn it off and this light doesn't cast any shadows, it's just like a painted yellow on the ground. That might be useful for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes if you've got a lot of shadows in your world, casting shadows can cause some drawing problems, and you might get a message come up saying that you're using up too much memory creating shadows, so you might on certain occasions decide just to turn off the shadow casting for some lights if they're not really necessary. Other things that is useful is the image, so you can have really interesting light effects with the light, speckles and stripes and things, and this can be really good for all sorts of reasons. A lot of people use these effects for doing water effects, so they can create like a ripple effect. So the action recorder, so that again I can put the action recorder on. Let me do it again. Action recorder on, just lift and down like this. So you get the effect of the sea with the light moving up and down. A lot of people use this for underwater effects. I've not done this in any sort of way, but just to show you, this is the sort of thing you can manipulate and move the action recorder as well as doing all the sliders, and you can create some amazing effects. The image blur, this is just how blurry the image is, or how crisp. And like I say, these are very useful for all sorts of different effects. There's some stars there, and you know, disco effects, you can get this to rotate. You can do that with an action recorder like I'm doing here, or you can create a rotating object. I don't think you can put a rotator on a light, so let me just check that. But no, so what you would do is you would create let's say a block like this, and you would stick your rotator on that, and that block would rotate, and then you scope in your light into the block so that they're connected. I'm not doing a very good job of that. Probably a good idea is to use a chip. So let's do that. So I'll get my block. I will put a microchip on it. Sorry, wrong way. Okay, we'll stick our light there. Now make sure your light is below the block, otherwise it's going to pick up the shadow of the block. It's not going to shine through it, so make sure it's below. Then when you've got it into position, grab the gizmo, stick it in your microchip like so. That is now part of the microchip. And I'm going to stick a rotator, and we're going to go into grid snap mode so I can get it exactly vertical. There we go. Turn that off. So now we've got a rotating light, and you then just make the sculpture invisible. And now you just have the rotating light, and as you can see, there we go. There's your rotating special effect, or your disco, or whatever it is that you want to do. As you can see, I can move my light, even if it was a spotlight, onto a microchip, and that's the form it makes. You can also stick lights inside timelines. So if I took a timeline like this, and I put my light into a timeline, as you can see, like that. Now it will play and then turn off. The object is still moving this time, and if I put this on a loop, so on, off, on, off. And you can stretch this and shrink this. Now if you copy it, there we go. You can do all sorts in a timeline with the light. So you can have it turning on and off as you like. You can also program your light to turn on and off with its power. Let me just put another one down. Sorry. Put another light down so we can have a look at it. So there, the power socket here. So you can always wire lights to turn on, like on the end trigger of this, for example. Wire that to the power of this light. So this is not on at the moment. There you go, it flashed when it got to the end of the timeline before it looped. There you go. So you can power lights on with wires, and you can put them in timelines to power them on. You can have them on all the time. You can stick them in objects. You can put them in microchips. So there's a lot you can do. I'm just going to get rid of that. And that's basically it for the light. It's quite a versatile gadget. I like to use it for debug purposes. So I like to wire results into these lights. That way I can tell whether a signal is being produced or a pulse, because it'll either flash or it will constantly be on, and also tell whether or not a signal is actually going through to the light, so I can see what's being passed through. Link that with a number displayer for debug purposes, and you've got a really good way of working out why your thing is not working correctly. So just wire straight into the power socket here for any sort of signal, so you can see what's happening. So that's it for the light. I hope that was useful. I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in your dreams.